Well, the embattled Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has ordered the closure of his country's vast border with Brazil now, setting up a showdown with opposition leaders over an aid convoy which has been blocked for more than a week. Speaking on state television, surrounded by military commanders, President Maduro said he was also considering closing the border with Colombia. Opposition leader and self-declared president Juan Guaido is now leading a caravan to the border with Colombia to shift aid stuck on the border by Saturday. Perhaps complicating the situation is a plan by billionaire Richard Branson to host a concert tonight aimed at raising $100 million to provide food and medicine for Venezuelans. Stephen Grattan is a freelance reporter. He's in Cucuta at the Venezuela-Colombia border. Stephen, welcome to RN Breakfast.
Good morning, Sam. Thank you.
Stephen, what's the scene like there at the border? Can you describe it for us?
I kind of did, yeah. To be honest, first thing I have to make clear is that there's two main borders that we're talking about at the minute. There's the main footbridge, where Venezuelan migrants are passing over every day. And then we have this other main bridge that has never actually been used before. It's a new bridge that was completed in 2016, but because of all the tension between Colombia and Venezuela, it has never been utilized. And that bridge, which is called Quien-Vitas, is where the stage is being set up for this Branson concert tomorrow. To be honest, on this bridge, that is where most of the tension is happening. That's where we have the barricades. We've got ship containers that the President Maduro put up over a week ago now to block entrance of this aid, because this is where the aid is being stockpiled in bodegas there, in warehouses.
So, Stephen, I'll come back to the concert that's being planned, but in terms of the aid, how much of it now has been stockpiled? Because America started sending it in some weeks ago. We know it's predominantly food and medicine.
Yeah.
How much is there, and how visible? What does it look like? Is it in trucks, containers? What's it look like?
Yeah. Well, this aid has been, the first aid was sent in by plane to Bogota, to the capital, and then it was trucked up to Cucuta. And that was around 200 tons of aid. Since that, we know that a few planes have arrived with more aid. Puerto Rico are now also sending aid by boat to help out. But the embassy haven't given us an exact number of how much yet there is, but it is a lot.
So the opposition leader, Juan Guaido, says he's going to lead this caravan of aid to the border. Has the caravan of volunteers arrived, and what is the plan? Have they started are they trying to get across the bridge? What's the plan?
Yeah, well, they haven't started yet, but what they have done is they've started, during these weeks with all of this aid, they've been packing it up into bags for families once it gets into the country. I was at a press conference this morning in Cucuta with the opposition, and they're really going full throttle with a request for Venezuelan people to also come to the border areas on Saturday when they're going to try and get the aid in. They're asking people to come wearing white to show that they're coming peacefully, to try and persuade the military to let the aid through. So yeah, that's going to be the real test as well on Saturday, to see whether the military sticks with Maduro or whether they go with the people and let the aid through.
Well,
That's the real deal breaker.
I also understand there's leaders of several other Latin American countries planning to travel to the border tomorrow as well, Bolivia, Cuba, Nicaragua. So are there any signs of a change in allegiance from the military? I see that the Deputy UN Military Attaché, Venezuela's Deputy UN Military Attaché, Colonel Pedro Quirnos, says he's now recognising the opposition leader as the interim president. Any sign the military is changing its stance?
Not yet, Ron, not yet. There's no sign whatsoever of the military backing down. That's the real tension at the minute. No one has any idea what's going to happen with the Venezuelan military. But yeah, it's all politicians are being very tight-lipped as well about the exact details of everything. I think mostly for security reasons, so yeah.
And why has President Maduro overnight closed the border with Brazil?
Well, Guaido has announced that they'd opened another point for aid there, which is, I'm not sure exactly why he has closed Brazil's border but not the Colombian border. it's all very vague at the minute because this news only came out a couple of hours ago.
Sure. Well, I suppose he hasn't closed the Colombian border, but he has blockaded the aid from getting in because there's only that footbridge, as you said. So now we come down to these dueling concerts. As I understand it, there's the concert planned there for Cucuta, which is funded by and organised by Richard Branson. But there's a rival concert also being held, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah. A couple of days after Branson's announcement, Maduro announced that he himself was going to put on a Venezuelan version of the concert, which is called Hands Off Venezuela. It's getting extremely political. The organisers keep saying it's not supposed to be political. It's supposed to just, be a fundraiser for more aid, but it is really turning into quite a show. So Nicolas Maduro has requested Venezuelan artists. I don't think he's having too much luck getting many people to sign up, unfortunately, for him. And he changed the location of the concert from the footbridge, from the Simon Bolivar footbridge, to where the Branson one is going to take place as well. So they're basically going to be two concerts happening at the same time on both sides of the bridge. So it's going to be quite tense, and we're all waiting to see what happens.
And just finally, the Branson concert, has that got a big lineup, and are there lots of Venezuelans trying to get to that? Yes. I think tomorrow is going to be absolutely hectic here in Cogota because it's not infrastructurally an amazing place for this kind of concert. But, they've taken measures. They've got 1,500 police being dispatched. There are also worries of some pro-government gangs from Venezuela being brought over to kind of stir tensions or cause troubles at this concert. So that's something we're going to be looking at for tomorrow as well. Yep.
Some of the big names, you've got big names like Carlos Vives, Juanes, Maluma, all of these big Colombian and Venezuelan artists. So that's what we're expecting to see tomorrow. Okay.
Dueling concerts sounds like a recipe for tension, that's for sure. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Stephen Grattan in Cucuta at the Venezuelan-Colombia border. Those two concerts happening tomorrow night. How crazy is that? It's 6:26 on Breakfast and Dangerous.